topics that we're going to discuss are anthropology, self in contemporary anthropology, and the four subfields of anthropology, which are archaeology, linguistic, biological or physical, and cultural anthropology. Before we begin, we will start our class with a prayer, led by Miss Edeline Marina.
Let's bow our head and feel the presence of our dear Lord. Our most gracious and heavenly Father, we praise and thank you for this day. Watch over us as we go about our works and studies. Fill our minds with knowledge and help us understand the topic that we are going to tackle today. Bless us, Father, with your wisdom as we begin our class. Help us in every way so that we may become children you want us to be. Amen.
Thank you, Miss Edeline Marinas, for leading our opening prayer. Now, let's move to our first topic that will be discussed by Miss Edeline Marinas.
Anthropology. The origins of self examines how selfhood shapes both human civilization and each individual within it. It takes into account the genetic and cultural roots of the self. The function of the self is socialization and language, and the different sort of selves we develop on our separate paths to and through adulthood, while self-awareness is a byproduct of the sharing of social models, which only humans appear to do. Edwards contends that other awareness is a very recent evolutionary phenomenon that exists throughout the ape clade and possibly beyond. The self of which we are conscious is not something inherent in us. Rather, it is a model of ourselves created in reaction to the models of ourselves that others have presented to us. Anthropology is the study of what makes us human. Anthropologists take a broad approach to understanding the many different aspects of the human experience, which we call holism. They consider the past through archaeology to see how human groups lived hundreds or thousands of years ago and what was important to them. Anthropologists also try to understand how people interact in social relationships. For example, with families and friends, they look at the different way people dress and communicate in different societies. Anthropologists sometimes use these comparisons to understand their own society. Many anthropologists work in their own societies looking at economics, health, education, law, and policy. To name just a few topics, when trying to understand these complex issues, they keep in mind that they know about biology, culture, types of communication, and how humans live in the past. The self in anthropology is an individual human's own person. Some anthropologists think that the people develop their sense of self, or even their actual self, through interactions with other humans, the social construction of the self. Other scientists argue instead that people have a self that derives from their biological evolution, resulting in self-aware brains. At any rate, the self interacts with the surrounding culture in a human society. And now, that is all about anthropology and self in contemporary anthropology. Now, let's move on to the next topic, which will be discussed by Miss Angel Nicole Ramos.
Thank you, Miss Edeline Marinas. Now, let's focus about the four subfields of anthropology. The first two subfields that I'm going to discuss is archaeology anthropology and linguistic anthropology. Archaeology anthropology. Archaeological anthropology is the study of past humans and cultures through material remains. It involves the excavation, analysis, and interpretation of artifacts, soils, and cultural process. Archaeology is similar to anthropology in that it focuses to understanding human culture from deepest history up until to the recent past. It differs from anthropology in that it focuses specifically on analyzing materials, remains such as artifacts and architectural remnants. Examples of types of archaeological sites include campsites, caves, past settlements, monuments, workplaces, farms, and many more. The most well-known type of material remains are artifacts. These are objects that were once created or altered by human behavior. So, what is the importance of archaeology in anthropology? Archaeology provides us with the opportunity to learn about past cultures through the study of artifacts, animal bones, and sometimes human bones. Studying these artifacts helps to provide us with some insight about what life was like for people who left behind no written record. So last is the difference between archaeology and anthropology. There are few differences between archaeology and anthropology, such as the goal of each area of study. In archaeology, studies typically aim to gain a deeper understanding of human societies that existed in the past, while professionals in anthropology can focus on communities from the past and the present. Linguistic anthropology. Linguistic anthropology is an interdisciplinary field dedicated to a study of language as a cultural resource and speaking as a cultural practice. It assumes that the human language faculty is a cognitive and social achievements that provides the intellectual tools for thinking and acting in the world. Linguistic anthropology studies the nature of human languages in the context of those cultures that develop them. Scholars in the field seek to understand the social and cultural foundations of language itself, while exploring how social and cultural formations are grounded in linguistic practices. Linguistic anthropologists study the ways in which people negotiate, contest, and reproduce cultural forms and social relations through language. They examine the ways in which language provides insights into the nature and evolution of culture and human society. And that is all about the first two subfields, which are archaeology anthropology and linguistic anthropology. Now let's move to the remaining subfields, which are physical or biological anthropology and cultural anthropology, to be tackled by Ms. Ira Joy Oswego.
Biological or physical anthropology. Physical or biological anthropology deals with the evolution of humans, their variability, and adaptation to environmental stresses. Using an evolutionary perspective, we examine not only the physical form of humans, the bones, muscles, and organs, but also how it functions to allow survival and the reproduction. Human biology broadly covers the areas of modern human biological variation, human ecology, nutrition, and demography. What makes physical biological anthropology unique is that it brings all the areas to bear on our understanding of the human condition. Evolutionary perspective encompasses the origins of modern humans and modern human diversity, the relationship between climate and human evolution, the evolution of language and cognition. Other one is cultural anthropology. Cultural anthropologists study how people who share a common cultural system organize and shape the physical and social world around them, and are in turn shaped by those ideas, behaviors, and physical environments. It is contrast to social anthropology, which perceives cultural variation as a subject of a positive anthropological constant. Portman-Tew term sociocultural anthropology includes both cultural and social anthropology traditions. Culture and self. How we see ourselves shapes our lives and is shaped by our cultural context. Self-perception influence, among other things, how we think about the world as social relationships, health and lifestyle choices, community engagement, political action, and ultimately our own and other people's well-being. Culture is a major factor in the constitution of the ability to develop one's identity. As mentioned, culture means the way in which individuals or groups of people handle the raw material of their social and material existence in order to develop their own specific ways of life with their own distinct forms of expressions as network of meaning. Successful identity is the result of having been enabled and empowered to pursue one's own meaning in life in a process of constant exchange with others who are all endeavoring to build a meaningful existence for themselves. And that is the end of the discussion about the biological or physical anthropology and culture anthropology. I hope that you all learn from us. Before we end our lesson for today, we prepared a short quiz that will be handled by our moderator, Miss Angel Nicole Ramos.